Hi, this is Paul Chapman from Psychology Evolution, and welcome to this short training or conversation, dialogue, discussion about the 6 fundamental deficiencies of all psychological theory. Now, this basis of this talk or this discussion is about what is transformation and what is required to bring a degenerating brain, which, as we'll find out, is constant. There's constant degeneration occurring, to what is 100% shift around for the brain actually to regenerate what is required. And on the basis of that, I've been working over the last 6 years putting together this pathway, which I've called Wellbeing Solutions Pathway to Freedom. And it's a 90-day pathway to psychological freedom. It's about transforming evidence-based practice in mental well-being. So I want us to have a really clear look at what is evidence-based practice and why is it seen with such high regard in the world at the moment? And is that regard, is it valid and is it true? And the idea is to work with health practitioners to produce a 90-day pathway for clients to be able to regain full autonomy over their mental well-being and assisting them to understand their physical and emotional well-being as well. So it's designed for you as a health practitioner, 1, to improve the client outcome, 2, as a possibility to reduce your work hours, so to avoid the one-to-one burnout and start doing one-to-many, and also to add an extra revenue stream from online coaching. And the beauty of it is you don't have to build any modules or courses, and there's no overwhelm or complicated tech. So, as I said, it's called Wellbeing Solutions Pathway to Freedom. And the idea is to help you master online wellbeing coaching, become a transformational facilitator, hand the power back to your client, work effortlessly with groups, and most importantly, be the solution that humanity needs in regards to mental health. So part of this course is the complete pre-recorded wellbeing pathway. There's also a complete mental wellbeing training for you, which is also what you deliver in the group calls. Relationship roadmap, which is a real deep dive into 9 core areas of humanity. There's an option for you if you want a funnel built for you. It's already built, but it's still got to be work out the details, how we can transfer that directly to you. Working online gives you flexibility. Of course, you can work from home, you can work on holiday, you can work from anywhere in the world. And also to be part of a worldwide transformational group, you could say, of transformational facilitators. So let's have a look then. Let's have a look at the evidence. So questioning authority in mental well-being. So there are 6 fundamental deficiencies. In fact, there are probably loads, but this is just a core theme, you could say, that we can follow. So we have lack of causal understanding, which we connect to thought, limitations of measurement connected to time, concept of the individual related to memory, the psychological ideal that over time we can become something connected to desire, behavioral modification connected to action, and evidence-based practice connected to conflict. And just as you go, allow the visuals just to give you a taste straight away of a concept that you attach to them straight away. So causal understanding. So lack of causal understanding and thought. And what is thought? So the human brain is the result of evolution, millions of years of biological development, and at least 300,000 years of psychological development. So this is the human brain. This is the human biome. It is made up of these 2 influences. So the evolutionary accumulation of human thought has created human society. And I think that's quite obvious that we can't really contend that. However, human thought is the content of human consciousness. So everything that was within a human's brain, within thought, we could say is the content of human consciousness. And human thought is experience and knowledge. And experience and knowledge are stored in the brain. So we have an experience, we have some knowledge, we have some past. It's in the brain waiting for some response from in the external part to activate it and bring it into reality. And also the evolutionary accumulation of human thought has created time. And we should distinguish that. We have biological time and we have psychological time. So limitations of measurement. So what is time? What is measurement? And why are these limiting psychologically? So time is measurement. Measurement is directional. It moves from one point to another. Measurement implies a center, the point where you measure from. And does measurement therefore imply limitation, as it is a fragment of a 360-degree potential? So over time, thought has created all manner of measurement. And biologically, thought and time have produced all forms of technological advancement, and advancement being the essential accumulated learning which enables the technological, the mechanical functioning of a human being in society, in the world. So it's absolutely essential for us to be able to do anything biologically. However, psychologically, thought and time have created division, or have thought and time created division? And if they have, how have they created that? So what is time? Or we could say here, division is the root of conflict. So or conflict is the root of violence. And division can be seen in every stratum of society. We see it within the family, within nationality, race, religion, gender, education, employment, competition. In the psyche, it's the accepted belief that there is an unconscious and a conscious. And it gets played out through preference, through pleasure, pain, right, wrong, good, bad. And thought and time make up the content of human consciousness, which can be seen in the individual. So again, time is psychologically must be connected to past, to present, and also to projected future. And what I'm questioning here is, does that separation, past, present, future, is that division? And in the cases of all those things I've just mentioned, family, nationality, etc., these are all things that divide human beings. So what is the individual? And here we're looking at memory. And we can say that the degenerative aspect of the brain is when it's completely stored with past. There's no potential movement. So the etymology of the word individual comes from the Latin, which actually means indivisible, that which is not divisible, that which is whole. So human consciousness, which is the manifestation of thought and time, which has produced society, acts on memory to individuate the concept of self. So memory is past. Memory, thought, and time combine directionally, such as I am a Hindu, a Jew, a Christian, a Buddhist, an atheist. I'm British, American, French, German, African. I'm black, white. I'm humanitarian. I'm free to choose. I can be anything I want to be. I am confident. I am depressed. I am joy-filled, and so on and so on. So all of these connections, the I ams related to the individual, we can connect directly to past, to thought, and to time, therefore to division and conflict. And if human consciousness is the content, the entire content of human consciousness is made up from past, which is conflict, which is division, what place is the individual in that? Because surely it's the individual concept that actually creates the separation. So the I am is the separate, the divided identity. So how does thought and time operate with memory regarding the individual? So as we said before, biological thought, biological memory is essential to navigate life. If you didn't have a memory, you couldn't find your way home. You couldn't bake a cake, cook a tea, make a cup of tea. You couldn't do anything. However, when psychological memory is rooted in time, time is measurement, which is divisive or separate. It's exclusive. It's fragmented. Psychological memory is built by the recording function of the brain. So that is one of its aspects, is to record. Thought, time, memory, recording fill the entire content of human consciousness. So there is no space within the brain. And interesting, the etymology of the word memory is mindful. Now we can jump on the mindfulness practice that's sourced around the world, or we can say that the mind is full of memory. So psychological memory is the individual, and an individual's identity is measurement, gender, family, race, nationality, etc. And I would say it is the identity that is wounded, divided, and violent. So what is desire? First of all, we could say there's a perception. Then possibly there's a sensory contact. We see something, we hear something, we smell something, we feel something. And then that creates the sensation, which is all natural. Yeah. But then perception, contact, sensation is interfered by thought, time, and memory, which transforms desire into pleasure, pleasure seeking. And pleasure creates a preferred psychological image. And that image is one that is seeking to be free from the cause of the discomfort, the cause of the conflict, and one that is seeking to fulfill whatever that psychological pleasure image is. So directional action is the result of that. And human suffering is the psychological belief of becoming. Becoming is directional, it is divided, and it is fragmented. However, when thought doesn't interfere with desire, there is a completely different action that is not time binding. And the picture here is still a central picture, and we've got to be careful with centeredness, especially in relation to self, but it's still presenting an option in the middle of a 360-degree field, which is softness, flexibility, compassion, love, intelligence. All of those are contained within a mind or within a brain that is free from thought. What is action? Let's just check. So action means the doing now, correctly, accurately, completely, holistically. An action that is whole, complete, not impartial. And action is free of thought, time, and memory. Now, in order to have a psychological transformation, the process first is we have to see what it actually is. Not a preferred moving away from it, not a preference, a direction, a becoming. We have to actually see what is. And it's within the seeing of what is, how thought, time, memory, action, desire operate, that we're able to actually recognize the complexity and the completeness of the pattern of human consciousness. And So every time we try to move away from it to improve it, we remove away from what is. That will always continually lead to conflict. So when action is based upon some ideology, memory, pattern, belief, or comparison, it is not action, it's modification. So action here is a conformity to a certain pattern which has been established over time and therefore relies on continuity, which is time, which renders each action incomplete. We carry it over. So each action, each analysis of that action lays the foundation for the next and the next and the next. So continuity requires adaptation and modification in the attempt to find order and clarity. But can clarity emanate from fragmented thought? Any attempt to modify psychologically must create conflict. And here we are on conflict. So even our stop war protests, which are again valid, but it's the perspective where we come from within ourselves. If we are an individual that is righteous about the fact that war should not exist, and we're separating those who are in war from us, again, the individual is in play and conflict must continue, which is why revolutions historically have brought no change to human suffering whatsoever. So human thought throughout millennia has not brought about the end of human suffering. So we have to question that. Human consciousness is separative, violent, corrupt. We suffer from loneliness and isolation, absolute self-centeredness. Our patterns are divisive and they're also contradictory. So we talk about peace, but we build weapons of war. We research health and we torture animals in that process. We promote freedom, but educate conformity. We promote diversity, yet educate competition. We espouse love and live in attachment and control. And we talk of compassion, and yet we are so easily offended. So in regard to what we just talked about, knowledge and experience, the question comes, does the authority of evidence-based practice, which frankly dominates every facet of healthcare in society at this time, does it have any place whatsoever in human psychological well-being? So can evidence-based practice, which by its very definition is authority based on past knowledge and experience, can it contribute to the resolution of human suffering? Does the past, thought, time, memory, authority completely fill the brain, making no space for what is actual, what is present, what is new? And does authority direct action to make constant efforts to modify what actually is in preference for what should, could be? So directional movement. I am violent. I recognize I am violent. I recognize the aggression that's within me. So I'm going to become non-violent. I'm going to become peaceful, passive. I am frightened. So I will become fearless. I won't let anyone frighten me. I will dominate them. I am confident. Therefore, I will deny all weakness. And you can imagine this compensation for a lack of confidence, which comes across as dominating, blaming others. I am depressed, so I will focus on the positive. I am wounded, therefore I will become impenetrable. I am isolated and lonely, therefore I remain a separate individual. So I'd just like you to consider, question this aspect of psychological well-being, psychological wholeness. Is there a place for all that's been in the past? When we see that all that's been in the past has only led to greater suffering, greater conflict. We're in 2022 and the talk from our governments are no different than what's been 500 years ago. It's still the same talk of peace, talk of welfare, talk of equality, talk of diversity, and spend trillions on weaponry and war and protection and defense and nationalism. We need to question this stuff. So the question, is it possible to have a brain totally free of the content of human consciousness? If so, does that mean that we can realize that human consciousness is common to all? There is no division. In other words, it's the individual that is the division. Does that mean that the individual can be seen as the program of thought, time, and memory, and is the center of pain and conflict? And that any attempt to modify behavior leads away from the actual, perpetuating conflict and division? And another question to ponder, how is the actual the key to psychological freedom? So if you're interested in becoming in this world a practical guide for others to come around, to develop group work with people, and to lay the frameworks of autonomous psychological well-being, to take it away from authority, away from the experts, and give people the tools to be able to question all authority in regard to their own psychological health, and how to actually approach this problem of human suffering, human consciousness, the individual. So there's a case study group starting soon. If you're interested, just drop me an email. We can arrange a time and have a chat, a conversation, and we can see where we go from there. So thank you very much. It's been lovely talking to you. Please email me back on this as well. So if you've got any questions, I'll be very happy to have a conversation with you. Have a great day.